What's up, guys? Brian back to talk about The Walking Dead Season 7 news. Potential spoilers ahead. Will Daryl replace Carl with Negan? It's an article by the Inquisitor. We thought about this topic. We just read this article, so we'll just kind of go along with it. But we thought about something here because the comic, it's a big thing that happens with Negan and Carl. But there's the link right there. We'll put it in the description below. But basically, in the Walking Dead comics, Negan comes to Alexandria to get the supplies, then embarrasses Rick in front of everyone, proving who the dominant power in the world is now. When they are leaving, Carl sneaks aboard the truck and ends up back in Negan's camp. That starts a long, complicated relationship between Carl and Negan, one that changed Carl forever. So, basically, we see the truck. I'll show you a picture in a second, but Negan comes to Alexandria and really just puts Rick down in front of everybody and makes him there too. Basically, holding Lucille, makes him hold Lucille, and just basically takes the power away from Rick, and that's what that really shows there. There's the truck that was at Alexandria. This is about probably episode 4 we're looking at, most likely, I think, in the timeline of things. Season 7, episode 4. But look at the truck there. You see Dwight on the bike there, on Daryl's bike. That's basically from the comic. That's Carl. Look how low he is. The gun is gigantic in his hands. But basically, he stows away in there, goes back to the camp with Negan. Now, we're not sure if that's going to happen because we haven't seen the season yet. But basically, he comes out there too. It looks pretty similar to the truck that was just there. And we'll talk about the article a little bit more. But Scott Gimple talked about it a little bit, and he's not sure if Carl's going to have this relationship or not. But the only other person that would make sense is Daryl, for a couple reasons, and we'll get to that in a second. But Carl and Negan have a weird relationship in the comics, basically. Carl, kind of has a bond with Negan. Negan kind of trusts him a little bit, even when Carl kills his men a little bit, and it's kind of weird. But, so I don't know if they're going to do that, whatever. I don't know how they're doing with Negan on the show and the Carl thing. Carl's been seen with Enid and everything, so I think they're going to steer away from that. So I don't think it's going to do that. I do want to see this, though. I want to see Carl shoot Lucille and break part of the bat off. I don't know if that's going to happen this season or what, or later on down the road, or the second part of season 7, but I definitely want to see that, if they can replicate some of the comics on there too, because we know they don't always do it all there. But Negan can manipulate just about anyone, and the character in the comics got the most time was Rick's son, Carl. However, comicbook.com spoke to showrunner Scott Gimple, who said that the relationship may change in the show. Scott Gimple said, "Whether it's with Carl or not, I cannot say. I absolutely want to explore Negan, have that strange respect for someone, which I think was the hallmark of that relationship, and will tell versions of that story." So, he's not really backing down if it's that or not, but I don't think it is. I think it's more of Daryl and Negan. See Daryl and Rick here. Daryl in the weird jumpsuit, the weird prison outfit, that he's not in the same outfit. So some brainwashing going on there too with Negan. I don't know, but here's a better shot of it going in there too. We saw Negan, Father Gabriel, Aaron, Daryl, Carl, Enid, Olivia, all in this kind of shot here. But basically, you see Daryl there with the jumpsuit on, and he's been seen a lot with Negan. But basically, let's talk about Daryl a little bit. When Daryl first appeared in The Walking Dead first season, he was shown to be easily manipulated by his brother Merle. Since that time, Daryl has grown into one of the best heroes on the show and remains a solid ally. However, he has never really shaken the thought that he doesn't really belong in this world, and Negan might be something he could actually fall into. That is not to say Daryl would be corrupted, but like Carl, he could find something in Negan that is attractive and get manipulated to question his own status in the world. Scott Gimple made it clear that manipulation and respect towards someone in there was season 7. So we see that Merle and Daryl had a weird relationship, that he did kind of go back to his brother, of course, because he was basically blood. But Daryl eventually went on his own and basically had to do that, and then killed zombie Merle, of course. But basically, with all that being said, there are plenty of photos that we will show in a second of going around of Walking Dead. Season 7, the show Norman Reedus and Jeffrey Dean Morgan, they're spending a lot of time together. Is that a reason? Because they're together a lot? And it's said that Daryl has been kidnapped by Negan writing after season 7, episode 1. So they're going to spend a lot of time. So basically, I think it could happen there too. And Jeffrey Dean Morgan and Norman Reedus are best buds. So there's a lot of pictures like this. They're hanging out a lot. They're probably hanging a lot there because they have to film a lot together. So if Daryl gets kidnapped by Negan, what would be the point of that? To probably brainwash them, corrupt them, change them, have become part of the saviors. But I think that whole dynamic with the White is going to cause a problem with that too. So that we'll see how that goes. But the Daryl and Negan thing, I think, is where it's going. I think that's definitely what's happening with that too. This is just a great picture. I love that one with Jeffrey Dean Morgan and Norman Reedus looking at the cover of Andrew Lincoln. But I definitely think it's going to be Daryl instead of Carl in the comics who takes over that role there too. But basically, guys, thank you for watching. Check out the link in the description if you want to read more of the Carl at your own pace. You guys rock for watching this. We truly appreciate the support. Like, share, subscribe, comment. Let's keep this channel growing. We can't do it without you guys.